Alright, y'all. So, I was in the comment section of a chat a little while ago, and in the comment section, I was saying, basically, although I support Errol Spence Jr. and Bud Crawford, and I'm a big fan of that fight, want to see it happen, and I have the understanding that these guys may have to take an interim fight before they get in the ring with one another. My position is that from this point going forward, I'm not going to support a pay-per-view fight featuring either guy versus an opponent that I don't feel like needs to be in a pay-per-view fight with them. And my wording was against a very, very top level opponent. So with that being said, the question that I got asked was, when have we ever seen Errol Spence Jr. not fight a top tier opponent in a pay-per-view, and then that we don't have to worry about Bud fighting a pay-per-view anytime soon, or whatever the case may be. And that could very well be the case with Bud, and that's cool. But at the same time, I also have to take time out of my day or night to tune in and watch him fight, and for me to do so, he's going to have to fight somebody. He's going to have to be fighting someone that I feel like is a legit opponent that moves the needle closer toward making that Errol Spence Jr. fight and making that fight bigger. Definitely not diminishing the fight. As for Errol Spence Jr. and the question I was posed, yeah, I've seen Errol Spence Jr. fight on pay-per-view versus guys who weren't the top tier guys. And I'll go back just to the previous fight we just watched, Danny Swift Garcia. That was a fight going in that there was prior to the fight being made and after the fight being made and all the way up to the fight and even at the weigh-in and even at the ring walk and even as the bell rang, we already knew the outcome of that fight was going to be Errol Spence Jr. winning. The only caveat to that was we did not know how Errol Spence Jr. was going to come back from the wreck, but we knew that and y'all know what I say about if Errol Spence Jr. was anywhere near what he was when he left the ring versus Shawn Porter, and when we last saw him fight, that he was going to be too much for Danny Swift Garcia. We knew that when Danny Swift Garcia was refusing to fight him years prior, and we knew that going into this fight. Mikey Garcia was a fight that Errol Spence Jr. himself didn't even really want. It was a fight that made sense to some people to make, but it was a fight going in where, again, prior to the fight being made, prior to the weigh-in, at the weigh-in, after the weigh-in, during the ring walk, during the ring announcements, during the opening bell, we knew that the outcome of that fight was going to be a victory for Errol Spence Jr. Anyone who felt otherwise was just lying to themselves, and it was wishful thinking. Yes, it's boxing and anything can happen, but I don't want to be spending my pay-per-view dollars on fights where anything can happen is the only suspense or the only thing that makes it worthwhile to say that, okay, this fight was pay-per-view worthy. And no knock on Errol Spence Jr. I willfully went and bought those pay-per-views because I wanted to support the event, because I wanted to support the fighters, and because I also wanted to show that certain fighters can be in pay-per-views and move the pay-per-view needle without a lot of help from other fighters. But at the end of the day, a lot of that was all in part because I knew that the Terrence Crawford fight was around the corner at some point. Same reason I bought Crawford versus Amir Khan. Okay? So I stand behind my statement. I'm not going to be continuously buying pay-per-views just for the sake of supporting an event and just for the sake of, well, we're going to eventually get the fight we want. I did that crap for years with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. I was younger. I was a little more free-hearted with my money and my spending. I'm a little older. I'm a little wiser. I'm a little tighter with my dollar. I'm not going to do it. I'm not telling anybody else what they should do. That's not the purpose of this video, but the purpose of the video is to further explain my standpoint on what I stated on that video, on that live stream, in that chat section, because there were a lot of people in that chat that saw what I said, and the chat kind of ended before I got a chance to really come back and say what I need to say. But in no way, shape, form, or fashion is there an attempt on my behalf, to hate on Errol Spence Jr. or to say that he doesn't deserve this or he doesn't deserve that. If Errol Spence Jr. goes out there and fights Alfonso S. Gomez, and people want to go out there and pay $100 a pop to watch that pay-per-view, then I take my hat off to him. And much respect to them, much respect to Errol and Gomez, and best wishes to him. But I'm not gonna do that. That's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna close on that. I want to see the Errol Spence Jr. Terrence Bud Crawford fight. I'm not going to pour a lot of money into a bunch of other fights while waiting to see that. That's all I gotta say. D-Lo 404 Boxing on my